everyone, and welcome to the Well Woman podcast by RTS, where we rediscover ourselves with thriving wellness and with shining purpose. And I'm your host, Sandra Gloria, also known as Temi. And today, guys, I have a very wonderful woman with me. Very brilliant, Dr. Kenny. Dr. Kenny is a lady who came to Canada, I think almost 6 years ago, and she came to Canada with a PhD. She's a doctor, and she's had to navigate, COVID times, being a black woman in Canada and career transitions. And so today we're going to talk all about that. And I hope you have a wonderful, time with us. So grab your tea and let's get into this conversation. Hi, Dr. Kenny.
Hi, Temi.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Not bad.
Yeah.
I'm doing good.
Nice. So today we just want to know about your story, sharing your journey, and tell the audience things about you. So we're gonna go back to the beginning, from Dr. Kenny. How did you come to Canada? What was that transition like? Tell us that raw story about you.
Um, where do I start from? I landed in Canada December 26, 2020. I left Nigeria December 25 on a Christmas day, 2020, with my family. I landed in Canada with my husband and my two kids, age 4 and 5 then. A month after, my husband had to leave Canada to go back to work, and I would say my story started there. Being alone in Canada, we came to Canada with high hopes that, we are transitioning into a new country, but I thought it was going to be very, very easy for me. I've always seen myself as a strong woman, but no, it was so different for me. Being alone in Canada with two children, and they're both about 4 and 5, and just me alone with the kids. Husband left 1 month after I had to go back to work in Nigeria. So I was here. Where do I start from? Where do I begin from in this new country? COVID times. It was really hard. That shifted a lot of things. Like, it was really, really, really hard for me. I didn't really know anybody in Canada. I was just alone. The culture shock, the nights of crying, and my journey started there. Like, it started there, and I tried as much as possible to be strong, to shoulder everything, because I was like, okay, back home in Nigeria, my husband wasn't always home.
Okay.
It was always, we lived in a city where it wasn't always present. It was based in Abuja, and I was there in Oshobo with the kids, and it was always coming like once in 2 weeks, or maybe once in a week sometimes. So I thought, okay, it's going to be the same thing. But oh my God, it was so different. Like, I was like, no, this is so different. So all my thoughts of, being a strong woman, going through the same thing, but no, that wasn't it. So, that COVID time was this job where this job was so common then, this comfort care job and all that.
Yeah. No, don't you did that?
I applied, I got picked. I was to resume, I think sometimes in February, but I wanted something, that would allow me spend time with the kids and all that. So I tried to change to a night shift. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but they just told me that no, I can't continue anymore, so I had to start all over again. So where did support come from? Well, I was just here alone with the kids. No car, nothing. You know, where I lived was about 15 minutes walk to the bus stop and all that. So, like I mentioned, that was the first job, but I didn't even spend 1 day. So,
On the job.
on the job. So I remember that I had to, start looking for ways to get another job. What can I do? I mean, it's just me, and that was in February. So I joined the church in February. How did I join the church? I was, I met Brother Ray, but we've not seen physically. We met before coming to, I mean, we usually talk before coming to Canada.
Okay.
So it just told me that, oh, he lived very close to my house then. And I was like, I'm looking for a church. And he said, if you don't mind, I can drop you. Oh, I can always drop you in church. We can go together. And that was how I joined the church. And I met his amazing wife. So I started job hunting again. They were really supportive, So I got another job. I didn't know it was a fundraising job.
Okay.
That was early March in the cold. Was it early March of still February? Then I'll call my husband always complaining, I can't do this, like I'm just tired. I can't do this. So I needed to put the kids in a daycare so I can, go to the job and all that. Then I met another amazing woman. She's from Pakistan. She was the owner of that day home. So I narrated my story to her that I'm here alone with the kids and all that. First, she just, slashed the price for me, give me discount. And she was like, no, I feel you. She was kind of relating to my story. And she was like, no, how are you surviving? How are you doing this alone? So she was like, well, let's look for a way to, so you don't have to pay so much money. She helped me with extended hours. She would tell me, don't worry, I'll come pick the kids from your house. Imagine someone doing that for you.
Yeah.
And I'll drop them back. And I was like, okay, that was already settled. So what next? If I go to work, where would I put the kids? So I spoke to Brother Ray's wife. And she was like, why not bring the kids? They can always drop them with me. And that was where the support first came from. So the woman will come pick my kids, and sometimes I'll go drop them. I'll walk to the bus stop with the kids, look for a way to drop them at Nolan. I was living at Sage with them, and then she'll take care of them and drop them with Sister Inka. And I'll go to work. I was to start work 11:30, but I have to leave home 8 because I wasn't driving. I wasn't even myself. I was doing driving tests. I was failing because I was not just myself, but I just needed to,
Do it.
do it.
Yeah.
The first day I went to this office, I was in suit and all that, thinking, and it was like, the person was like, oh no, we have to go out on field. I'm like, what field? I remember I walked 21 kilometers going door to door. Telling them about fundraising and all that. Sometimes dogs would, they will release their dogs and I'll have to run. And
What?
yes, and I would leave Calgary to go to Red Deer.
Oh.
Like, Red Deer was the location where we had to go knock on people's doors. Yeah, and I would close around 8 p.m. Before I get home, it would be around 10:30, knock on Sister Inka's door at 10:30 to pick my kids again, and then we'll walk back home, and the cycle continued. And I was like, can I survive doing this job? I was just, super stressed sometimes. I would walk 21 kilometers, 25 kilometers, knocking on people's doors with
Fitness.
I was like, how can I come to this country, with I was almost done with my PhD then because I had to move to Canada.
Yeah.
I was already done back in Nigeria, but the only thing left for me was to defend my PhD. Then I'll call my husband, I'll start ranting, crying on the phone that I can't do this anymore. I just, I started getting sick from that job because it was really cold, and I just told my manager then, I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore. That I had to leave. So it's all back to the beginning, no job. Then I started applying again. But you know what? I got so tired. I got confused and I was like, no, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I'm done. But before I left, I already, kind of during my free time, making people's hair because I know how to make hair. I'll go to people's house, go make their hair, take the kids with me, would both bus together and all that, make people's hair. And slowly I also started, I started from making shawarma, and I just posted on a group that, oh, I know how to make shawarma, and someone was like, oh, let me order from you. And that was how, I started selling. And she was like, oh, this is nice. I'm like, okay, let me try pop-off. So for my baking business, I didn't go to any baking school. I didn't learn anything. I didn't, it was all self-taught, my own recipe. Everything was just me. Because I was like, okay, how can what can I do from this bottom, from everything? What can I do? Let me start something. In my mind, I didn't even start with, the mindset of a business or whatever. I just wanted to try my hands on different things. So I remember then I would make shawarma, I'll make pop-off, and someone would be like, oh, it tastes nice, why not, start selling this? And then I had my first customer, like, buy pop-off. Another person like, oh, I want shawarma. But still, I was just fed up. I was tired. I was like, okay, what can I do? So I met his soul sister. I was at Alberta Children's Hospital. My daughter swallowed earring.
Oh, this kid.
And I had to go to the hospital, spend the whole day there. And I just saw that person walk by. I was like, this face looks familiar. This person looks familiar. And I just saw her. I went to meet her. I was like, what? This is someone I've known, back in the university.
Oh, wow.
And she was like, what are you doing here? And that was how we connected again. So I told her I was here along with kids. She would always come, visit me. And she was like, Kenny, if you need any help, any support, just let me know. And she was like, oh, I have a car. Do you need a car? I want to give it to you.
What?
Yes.
What? Wow. Sisterhood.
And
Wow.
I was like, oh. Then I started going through driving tests, but I still was not myself. But with all these, I was like, what? I can't just be here without, let me start, let me continue my PhD. In my free time, while, I wasn't working all through, and I started writing the thesis back to finish up my write-up. And when I was done, luckily for me, my supervisor, she's a mother. She's very understanding. She's, she said, you know what, you can always send it to me via email. So she would review, and when it was time, she was like, okay, this is perfect. I wrote almost 500-page thesis, and I just had to take that time. In all these, I found, there was a shift. So I was like, no, I can't just be here and, with all the everything, and I would just be here wallowing in my pain, in my sorrow.
Yeah.
I needed something to do. So I finished the write-up, and I was like, it was time. I can't be here anymore. And I packed my bags, and I left Canada again.
No.
I left Canada, and I was like, no, I'm done. This time is not for me to be here. I needed to leave for now, because I was frustrated. It's not easy being here alone with kids. You're just in a lonely country. You're not even mobile. You're not. I struggled for that 5 months, and I left Canada. I left sometimes in May 2021. I left Canada, and I defended my thesis in June 2021. I finished everything in June within a month, because I was already prepared. I had that mindset that no, I had to go finish this thing. Let me just you know,
Finish.
finish. Let me, be myself, spend time. And one thing I didn't mention was the separation, the frustration, the effect on my marriage.
Wow.
Because I was in pains, I was bittered. I was like, why am I here alone? I didn't want to talk to my husband. Like, the separation was just there. I didn't want to connect. I just wanted to be alone.
Yeah.
I felt bitter that I was here alone with the kids. I felt, the attention. I wasn't giving that. I didn't even care whatever I was doing. It
Yeah.
was that bad. Like, I didn't want to care. I just wanted to be myself. I wanted to, I just didn't want
Just
to.
let me be.
I was already sinking in my mind that
Yeah.
no, how can I do this? I was very okay back home.
Yeah.
I had a very good job, business and everything going on, schooling and all going on for me. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Especially with thinking about that job
Yeah.
that I did.
Yeah.
And, I was just in
Yeah.
pain. And whenever I call, I would say, no, the kids should just speak with you. I don't want to.
Wow.
And I got to a point I was like, this this is not
working.
what I envisaged
Yeah.
all this to be. And I had to go back home to make things right.
Yeah.
Because I knew that my pain was affecting
Your
so
mom.
many things,
Yeah.
affecting, my marriage, affecting even the kids. There are sometimes you just want to be alone, you just don't want to. I couldn't go out, I couldn't do anything. So I went back, and that was the shift. I found myself back. I, met few people who encouraged me. I already met few people, but even the main support was not when I was here for 5 months. It was after I came back, and yeah, I went back. I earned the PhD after a month, and I traveled back to Canada in August after spending 3 months with family, 3 months to finish everything, and yeah, I traveled back. Yeah, in August. Before I traveled back in August, I already got another job,
Okay.
and yeah, so I was kind of doing that remotely, and I got two jobs actually, and one was on pause. I told them I couldn't I couldn't do it. That can I just take a break?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, they understand. So yes, there are some organizations that understand.
Yeah.
They understand, what the employees are going through. They can give you some time to get yourself. So I got the job, and I spoke to the HR that I needed, some time for myself. I needed to travel, and they were like, why not? Your job would be here waiting for you. So in as much as the pain, everything was there, I was putting in efforts to finish my PhD, to take care of my children, to start job searching, to do everything. And yeah, it was a pain, but in the end, I knew that there would be light at the end of the tunnel.
This isn't just a t-shirt, it's a declaration that I'm protecting my peace and I'm choosing rhythm over hustle. Yes, self-care is my birthright. And if you need to grab yours, you can go to our website www.rtsbysandagloria.com and shop our t-shirt. Self-care is not a luxury, it's not a necessity, it's our birthright. And whatever self-care means to you, that's what it is. Cheers to protecting your peace.
Nice. Wow. I've known you for a couple of years, but I didn't even know all this story, right? It just shows how our voice, like our stories, like I'm sure that there are women out there who are probably in this same situation. I'm like, I cannot do this anymore, man. My marriage is falling apart, everything. Well, that is so awesome. So I'm just gonna ask you a question. So it's more about your voice, right? So this part is just talking about, like, your growth. I know you went back to Nigeria, went to finish your PhD, because that was what did you even get your PhD in? I didn't even
Environmental management.
Okay.
Yeah, environmental science.
Perfect. Yeah. So what truth did you reclaim going back and then deciding to come back again? Why didn't you just stay behind? Like, what shifted? Like, what was that mindset shift in your voice? What did you reclaim?
Yeah, I knew I was going to come back. But coming back, I was like, am I going to go through the same thing again? Am I going to go through that pain, that's being alone? that that loneliness. I was like, can I do this? In as much as, of course, I love Canada. I wanted to come back and all that, but I was like, because I knew my husband wasn't coming with me.
Yeah.
So it's still going to be me and
Yeah,
the kids.
yeah.
And I'll start with from my journey going back to Nigeria. Even on the plane, I got support
Okay.
from people on the plane. They were like, "Oh, is this young lady traveling with two young kids?" I didn't leave my kids here. I traveled with them, and I packed everything in that house. And I just told my sister that I met that I was going to leave, and she was like, "You know what? Bring everything to my house. I'm going to lock them in that car. That car would be here when you're back." So I put everything in the car and in our house, and I left. On the plane, the women on that plane were fantastic. They were amazing. Oh, you have two young kids. They practically cleared everywhere for me to stay with them, and even till I got to Nigeria. Coming back wasn't as sweet as when I left. It was, I was like, oh, I told my husband, you're leaving me, I'm going again with the children, only me. And when I got to, Germany, my experience there wasn't nice on the plane, but, my flight from Nigeria to Germany, it wasn't really nice. But when I got to Germany, on the Air Canada flight, the hostess were like God sent to me. They were like, no, you're traveling with two young children, and because the tickets, they kind of separated my children from from me. And they were like, how can you sit apart from two young so that was the first of all. And even before I landed, I already booked a hotel to stay for 3 days. That time COVID was still happening. But I don't know what happened. I think I booked for 3 days and it changed. I think something changed. They were like, no, you have to be in quarantine for was it 10 days or 2 weeks again? They were about, I can't remember. So I called my sister before I left study, and she was like, you know what, cancel the hotel, come stay in my house. Luckily for me, I already, rented an apartment and all that before I left. So the accommodation was already sorted. I had to move. So I already sorted accommodation. But I can't go to the house because I have to. So she was like, you know what, just come stay with me. And she encouraged me. She's like, oh, you know how to make air and all that. She started telling everybody, her friends. That's how they recruited me into their group as a, So I'll make air for people in our house. And, I'll make some snacks and I'll give those that are making. And my customers then were our friends and all that. So, they started supporting me like, oh, you're new, you're here alone with kids. And, the support started coming. And then it was time for me to move to my house after 2 weeks. I was like, I'm going here alone again with the kids. At least I'm not much, So I moved thinking, oh, the support, everything, I had friends. I remember one of my friends then, she would always come check on me, and she would, from her paycheck, because she was already working and all that, she would send me $50 every month.
Wow, you made
just use it. I was like, why is this, support? And I had a friend too. She would always encourage me, oh, Kenny, you can do this. You can, start applying for these roles, start doing all this. She was like, oh, no, I told her, oh, I wanted to go back to science. I was tired. I was, And she was like, no, you can do this. I know you have the skills, you have to, So the support started coming in. But still, at night, would be cries. The loneliness, crying and all that. I was already driving and all that. Would be crying, loneliness. And some of my friend, my sister, she would call me. She'd be like, you know what, you can always come back. So I'll just pack my bag sometimes and go to her house, spend some days. I was frustrated, and she'd be like, you know what, let's pray. Let's fast.
Yeah, wow.
At night, pray, we'll fast. And you know, I had friends who were not friends, who were sisters to me, who were like, you know, and things started happening around me. Things like, you know, people, I saw that people were moving faster. People were, you know, achieving things, and I was looking at myself, you know. My husband came, he came sometimes 2 months or 3 months after I returned back to Canada. He spent like 2 weeks and left again. And I just told him, I don't know, things are happening. Like, people are moving to their houses. People are, you know, I was just there. I was like, what's the progress for me? I have a PhD, but that's just there. What's the progress? What's going to happen? Even though the support, everything was there. But I realized something, that you can find comfort in people around you. Like, I found comfort, I found support, I found, you know, care. They were amazing people that were around me. The support was too much. The care. Moving to the house, I didn't buy one single thing. People were like, no, you need a blender, you need my stuff. Like, you need a blender, you need this, you need. And some of our friends who are now my sisters too, were like, oh, you need booster seats. Take 2, you know. People were just doing things for me, and I was like, where is all this coming from? But I told my husband, you have to come back. You have to. So at night, I would just call, cry, and all that. And it's like, okay, you have to come back.
Yeah. Wow. That's so, wow, support, so great.
Yeah.
Okay, just before I wrap up, I'll just ask you, it's a 2-in-1 question. And right now in your season, what are you currently doing, and how are you showing up for others? Because I know you do a lot of things, you know, help people with their career transitions because of your journey, right? So just speak a little bit about like how you're showing up for others, even yourself, and also from a wellness perspective, and what it means to you to be a well woman.
So that's 2 questions. I would say 3 questions in one. What am I currently doing? That's to tell you, I'm actively listening to you. The first question is, what am I currently doing? Yeah, currently I'm a business analyst. I'm a senior business system analyst, and I'm also a pastry chef. So I already told you how the story of my business started. From me making and entertaining my guests with some of the things I do. And my customers are from referrals. Oh, she knows how to do this, you know, and that's how the business started growing. I started doing more things, and you know, I started putting in so much work into that. And it was all from, you know, discovering myself, rediscovering myself. What can I do? Am I just going to wallow in this pain? Yeah, so I'm currently doing both. I'm into tech, and I have a business too, a pastry business, and it's not just, it started small, but now I would say it's growing. In the last 2 years, it has grown beyond my expectation, and that's from, you know, from people around me, from, you know, people supporting my business and all that. Now I cater for events and all that. So how am I, you know, impacting others? Let me put it that way. For me, like I mentioned, I received support from people around me, not just women, but from everyone. And I believe the greatest love you can give is kindness. Now, if you receive support, you have to, you know, do the same thing to others. I don't see myself as, you know, doing anything spectacular, doing anything really, really great. I'm just, in a little way, giving back from what I have received. So I just don't it's not just women.
Okay.
It's from giving back to everyone,
Okay.
both black, white,
Yeah.
male, female, just giving back. So currently, I help people in their journey to, to transition. If you want to transition your career, if you need me to help you with, resume reviews, interview support, job application support, and all that. I help people I don't even know, people I've never met in my life. Most of them, I would say, 90% of people that I've connected with doing all this, I've never seen or I've never seen them before. Now, what is it to be, what's my definition of a well woman? I kind of wrote that down in a way, because when I saw your invite, and I was like, it clicked to me, what is a well woman? Who is a well woman? A well woman is being whole, being complete. Even when the world perceives you to be half. Even when the world thinks that, you can't be complete, it is you being a complete woman. Now, what is a complete woman? It is you finding your strength, your courage, you embracing yourself in totality. It is you being a model of yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror, ask yourself, am I a well woman? Now, I mentioned strength, courage, and it is you seeking support. You cannot just, sit down somewhere and think help will come. You need to reach out to people. It is you being, how do I put this?
Vulnerable enough.
It is you being vulnerable to people. It is you being allowing yourself to be loved by others. When I talk about love, it is not male love. It is not about that love. It is you being vulnerable, you letting other people love you. It is you finding your happiness. And I tell people, your happiness is not dependent on anybody or anything. You need to discover your happiness. You are the only source of your happiness. You cannot find your happiness in money, in people, not even your children or your husband. Because if your happiness is dependent on that, you don't know what's going to happen, in future. Now, a well woman is a complete woman. A woman who is virtuous, who has the strength, the courage, who can be vulnerable to be, to be loved. It is you sharing your journey, sharing your story with people, and letting them support you. That's my definition of a well woman.
Wow, that's very interesting. Like that vulnerable part, right? Okay, so wow, this was very, very, very inspiring. So what would you tell a woman who is probably currently in this season that you've even just gone through? What's that one thing you want to tell that woman? Say, hey, I've been here, or something. What's that one advice that you want to tell that woman?
I would say, I see you. I've been there. People have been there. Your story is not the worst. If you hear other people's story, you'll be shocked. You will cry. It's just a phase. It is not, it's not going to be there forever. It's just a phase. It's just something you're passing through, right? Allow yourself to be seen. I see you. Like, tough times don't last. You're going to get through it. You're going to, you're going to go through different phases. You're going to go through different things. But I would say, you see that support? You can only get support if you allow yourself to be supported. Right?
Yeah.
And it is just a phase. In the next 2 years, your story will be different. It's going to change. So, whatever you're passing through now, whatever things that, anything you're going through, it is a phase. And know that people are there that can support you. And yes, you are seen. You are heard. Put yourself out there. Brace up. Push yourself. Pray. leave everything to God. And I tell you, it is just for a very, very short time. It is just for a very short time.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Kenny, for having you on my couch. This story was just very, very interesting, but also eye-opening too. So I want to thank you for being vulnerable and sharing with the audience as well. Thank you. And so, well, women, I hope this story was very inspiring and also healing as well. From Dr. Kenny's story, we can see that rediscovering yourself is very key, and being vulnerable to being loved. Like, if you need support, you have to seek it. You can't be hiding in the house and expect support to come from nowhere, right? So yes, it might be very tricky at first because you don't want to put yourself out there, but hey, that's where healing starts from. And it's okay to reinvent yourself. Like, you see, she has a PhD, but that didn't stop her from knowing what else could I do. And now that business is thriving. I know. I love her puff puff. Is the best. I see for a fact. Even when it comes to Adulam, she was the one who catered to that with her treats. So I know that for a fact. So it's okay to reinvent yourself. There is no one way, right? If you get to a point where you have to, sit down and rediscover yourself, please do that. I hope we had a wonderful time. And if you want to reach Dr. Kenny, we have, you can, in the link below, the RTS store, you'll find her bio and how to contact her. And yes, there's the Well Woman Circle. This is where we're looking for support. The RTS is presenting the Well Woman Circle, where you find women of like minds. They're either in the season you have been or where you are right now, and they've navigated that season, and you can find support there. So click below on the link www.rtsbysandragloria.com, and you navigate to the Well Woman Collective, where you can meet someone like Dr. Kenny, or even an event coordinator, or the financial coaches. Any support you're needing, any services you're needing, and you're welcome to join the Well Woman Circle. It's free. It's a sisterhood we're creating. It's an ecosystem, because RTS, we're all about sisterhood. We're all about wellness. So until next time, embrace wellness on your own terms. Have a wonderful day.